Welcome to this comprehensive and expanded exploration of the Tao Te Ching, an ancient and enduring work that has profoundly influenced philosophy, spirituality, and culture for over 2.5 millennia. Composed by the sage Laozi, also spelled Lao Tzu, in a time of social upheaval and moral questioning in ancient China, this slim text of 81 chapters has defied easy categorization. It is neither wholly religious scripture nor strictly philosophical treatise. Instead, it stands as a luminous, poetic guide that encourages us to recognize and align ourselves with the fundamental nature of reality itself. Through its paradoxical verses, the Tao Te Ching suggests that true wisdom emerges when we let go of our rigid notions and learn to flow with the currents of existence. In this extended journey, we will move far beyond a mere summary. We will investigate the subtle nuances of the Tao, explore the significance of Wu Wei, or effortless action, and delve into the text's perspectives on leadership, simplicity, duality, and the cultivation of inner tranquility. We will consider the Tao Te Ching in its historical context, reflect on its core themes, and discuss its lasting relevance. Whether you are encountering the Tao Te Ching for the first time or returning to it with seasoned eyes, this in-depth exploration aims to illuminate its layered teachings and help you engage with them on a more meaningful, personal level. Historical and cultural context. The Tao Te Ching emerged during China's spring and autumn period, a time marked by political fragmentation, philosophical ferment, and social change. Confucianism and legalism were vying to shape the moral and political landscape, offering structured systems of ethics and governance. In contrast, the Tao Te Ching proposes a subtler path. Instead of imposing order from above, it suggests attuning ourselves to the natural order that already underlies all things. This text's elusive authorship and its mystic tone have inspired countless interpretations, translations, and commentaries. Though attributed to Laozi, a figure revered as a founder of Taoist thought, it remains uncertain whether he was a single historical individual or a symbolic representation of early Taoist sages. Over time, the Tao Te Ching gave birth to an entire philosophical and religious tradition known as Taoism or Taoism, influencing not only Chinese culture, medicine, and martial arts, but also modern thinkers, environmentalists, and spiritual seekers worldwide. The universality of its message transcends cultural boundaries and historical epochs, calling to anyone who senses that there is more to life than the frantic chase for power, possessions, and prestige. The nature of the Tao, the way. The central concept of the Tao Te Ching is the Tao, commonly translated as the way. The Tao is not merely a path or method. It is the ineffable source, the underlying principle, and the living current that animates the cosmos. Laozi's opening lines offer a warning. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Any attempt to define, categorize, or confine the Tao in human language will inevitably fail because the Tao precedes and transcends words. This isn't a failure of understanding, but an invitation to embrace a subtler mode of knowing, intuitive and direct rather than intellectual and discursive. The Tao Te Ching encourages us to learn from nature. Just as trees grow without effort, rivers flow without hesitation, and clouds drift without self-consciousness, the Tao moves all phenomena in a balanced dance of becoming and dissolving. Instead of resisting what is, we can find greater harmony by surrendering to this natural flow. In living with the Tao, we don't relinquish our capacity for decision-making or our moral agency. Instead, we recognize that much of our suffering comes from swimming against the current, from trying to force situations into predetermined outcomes. Wu Wei, the practice of effortless action. One of the Tao Te Ching's most celebrated teachings is the principle of Wu Wei, often translated as non-action, non-doing, or effortless action. Contrary to misunderstanding, Wu Wei does not advocate passivity or laziness. It does not suggest we withdraw from life or neglect our responsibilities. Instead, it proposes a mode of engagement with the world that is free from unnecessary struggle and ego-driven manipulation. It asks us to align our actions with the natural rhythms around us. Laozi illustrates Wu Wei by praising water, soft, flexible and humble, yet capable of wearing down rock and carving mountainsides. Water doesn't contend, but it accomplishes wonders. Similarly, when we practice Wu Wei, we act with precision and intuition. We know the right moment to speak and the right moment to remain silent. We let events unfold without attempting to dominate them. This form of effortless action is not resignation, but a mastery of timing and discernment, allowing what must change to change naturally while we offer guidance as gently as a shepherd tends a flock. Leadership, through humility and service. In a world often enamored with forceful authority and outward show, the Tao Te Ching offers a radically different perspective on leadership. Rather than celebrating command and control, Laozi extols the virtues of humility, compassion, and selflessness. A leader aligned with the Tao does not seek fame or recognition. Instead, such a leader supports and nurtures the people, stepping out of the limelight so that they may grow and thrive on their own accord. When the leader's work is done, Laozi says, the people often feel they achieved it themselves. This vision of leadership transcends political structures. It applies equally to parents, teachers, mentors, and anyone who influences others. The best way to guide is by modeling the desired qualities, not by forcing compliance. True leaders trust that people have their own natural inclination toward harmony when not distorted by fear, greed, or coercion. Simplicity, contentment, and abundance. In the Tao Te Ching, simplicity is not a meagre, impoverished state. It is a return to authenticity, to the purity of an uncluttered heart. Be content with what you have, Laozi advises, and rejoice in the way things are. By stripping away what is superfluous and artificial, we discover that contentment does not depend on external possessions or constant validation from others. Instead, contentment arises from perceiving the wholeness and sufficiency of the present moment. This emphasis on simplicity is revolutionary in a consumerist world that tells us we are never enough and that we must accumulate and achieve ceaselessly. Laozi teaches that chasing after wealth and status leaves us grasping and anxious. By recognizing that we lack nothing of true importance, we enter a state of inner wealth. Paradoxically, by owning less, we may feel more fulfilled. By seeking less approval, we become more secure within ourselves. Paradox and complementarity. The Tao Te Ching is filled with paradoxes, a stylistic choice that can initially frustrate the rational mind. Yet, these paradoxes are key to unlocking the text's wisdom. Consider statements like, "The soft overcomes the hard," or "He who knows does not speak, he who speaks does not know." These contradictory-sounding phrases encourage us to look beyond binary thinking. They reveal that life's apparent opposites, beauty and ugliness, good and evil, high and low, are not mutually exclusive. Instead, each defines and enriches the other. This insight into the complementarity of opposites is at the heart of Taoist cosmology. The familiar symbol of yin and yang captures this interplay. Light and dark, active and receptive, are phases of a single process rather than irreconcilable forces. By embracing these paradoxes, we accept that the world is not a set of fixed categories, but a fluid and dynamic interplay. The Tao Te Ching leads us to see that wisdom emerges when we hold these tensions gently, allowing them to guide our understanding rather than forcing them into rigid molds. Inner peace and self-knowledge. At its deepest level, the Tao Te Ching is a manual for cultivating inner peace. This peace is not a complacent numbness, but a state of profound alignment with one's own nature. Laozi reminds us, If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. To rediscover our root, we must attune ourselves to the stillness within. By quieting the ceaseless chatter of the mind, by stepping back from the tumult of desires and fears, we find an abiding centre that is both serene and wise. Inner peace does not isolate us from the world. Rather, it enables us to move through life's challenges with grace and resilience. In this state, we experience a clarity that allows us to respond to changing circumstances without anxiety or force. We become like the uncarved block, a favourite metaphor in the Tao Te Ching, natural, unadorned and full of potential. From this foundation, insight flows naturally, and our actions become more harmonious and effective. Interpretation and the challenge of translation. The Tao Te Ching's poetic and cryptic nature presents challenges for translators and readers alike. Chinese characters are rich in nuance, and the original text can be read on multiple levels: spiritual, ethical, political, metaphysical. Over centuries, countless translations and commentaries have offered different shades of meaning. Some emphasize mysticism, others social philosophy. Some highlight personal cultivation, others political strategy. This multiplicity of interpretations reflects the Tao Te Ching's inherent richness. Rather than seeking a single, authoritative meaning, we might recognize that the text is a mirror, reflecting the reader's mind. Each reading can yield new insights as we evolve in understanding. Practical applications in contemporary life. Though rooted in ancient China, the Tao Te Ching is not a relic of the past. Its teachings remain profoundly relevant in a world grappling with environmental crises, technological acceleration, social inequality, and existential anxiety. The idea that we might live more lightly on the earth, respecting natural cycles and limits, resonates with modern ecological thought. Wu Wei, seen through a contemporary lens, can inform sustainable leadership, conflict resolution, and even creativity. Instead of pushing ourselves to burnout, we can learn to recognize the natural seasons of effort and rest. In personal relationships, the Tao Te Ching's counsel to let go of pride, anger, and rigid expectations offers guidance toward healthier and more authentic connections. Its warning against clinging to external measures of success can free us from relentless comparison and competition. As our world becomes more interconnected and complex, Laozi's insight that true wisdom transcends binary thinking and dogmatic certainty can help us navigate ambiguity and change with greater equanimity. The Tao as ever present. The Tao Te Ching suggests that the Tao is always accessible, though hidden in plain sight. It does not require pilgrimage or arduous training to sense its presence, only a quiet, receptive mind and an open heart. By practicing mindfulness, by paying attention to the natural rhythms of our breath, the cycles of day and night, and the shifting patterns of thought, we begin to sense the Tao's subtle currents. We can feel it in the effortless laughter of children, in the changing seasons, and in the calm centre we reach when we accept life's flow rather than resisting it. A guiding light beyond boundaries. Over 2,500 years have passed since the Tao Te Ching's creation, yet it continues to captivate and inspire. While originally emerging in a specific cultural and historical milieu, its wisdom transcends those boundaries. Today, people from all walks of life, philosophers, poets, scientists, spiritual seekers, find value in its verses. Its message reminds us that genuine strength arises from flexibility, that true understanding comes from humility, and that lasting peace is found not by clinging or grasping, but by letting go and trusting the natural order. Walking the path of the Tao. To engage with the Tao Te Ching is not to master a set of doctrines or memorize moral commandments. It is to enter a living conversation with the text and with ourselves. Each time we read it, we encounter the paradoxes anew, and these paradoxes reflect our own inner tensions and questions. As we release our compulsion to categorize and conclude, the mysteries of life become less threatening and more marvelous. We discover that, contrary to our fears, letting go does not mean losing ourselves. Rather, it means rediscovering a deeper, more authentic self, one that participates in the grand unfolding of existence without separateness or struggle. In conclusion, the Tao Te Ching is more than an ancient manuscript. It is an invitation to a way of being, fluid, responsive, compassionate, and humble. Through its teachings, Laozi offers no hard formulas or rigid rules. Instead, he provides pointers, metaphors, and gentle nudges to awaken our innate capacity to live well. By practicing Wu Wei, we relinquish forceful exertion and discover effortlessness. By embracing simplicity, we find abundance in what we already have. By acknowledging paradox, we deepen our understanding. By cultivating inner peace, we return to our root and live in harmony with the rhythms of life. As you carry these insights forward, remember that the Tao cannot be captured or owned. It can only be recognized and flowed with. The Tao Te Ching endures because it speaks to something universal within us, a longing to live gracefully amidst chaos, to find balance in imbalance, and to become fully present to the moment. May this in-depth exploration inspire you to walk the way, your way, with greater openness, curiosity, and serenity, ever in tune with the ineffable current of life that Laozi called the Tao.